Hi there and welcome to Wisemouth Games. Today we're gonna learn how to make head orientation for NPCs in Unreal Engine 5. Let's go. So we're inside Unreal Engine. Now let's see what we will get at the end of the tutorial. So you can see that the NPC is right there in front of us. As we get closer to him, its head slightly turns towards the player, and it follows the player as we get around him. When we get behind him, its head rotation is limited so that the head does not turn backward. And as we go away from him, you can see that its head slightly turns towards its base position using a slight interpolation. So that's what we're going to build. Now let's see how we can do that. So the first thing we need to do is to set up the collision so that the NPC can detect the player getting closer to him. As you can see, the NPC is using a sphere component to detect the player. And for that, we are going to create a new collision channel. We just need to go to the project settings, to the collision tab. And as you can see there, I've already created the focus channel. You just need to click there on the new object channel, enter the name for the channel. And I've set up the default collision to be ignore because I just want to use this channel for the head orientation. And by default, it's fine if it's ignored by everything else. Going back to the project, we can now create the blueprint for the NPC. So let's create a new blueprint based on the character class. And let's open it. So first we're going to assign the mesh from many simple is fine. We're going to position it and put the right rotation. So that's fine. We can now create the sphere component. It's a simple sphere collision. And we're going to set its radius like 500 maybe. Yeah, it's fine. And we're going to make use of our new collision channel. In the collision parameter, let's put no collision, then custom. So we want it to be query only. We want it to be a focus, of object type focus. And we can ignore anything else except the focus. There we want to overlap because we're going to add something to the player character. So this one is going to be a focus object type and it needs to detect any other focus object type. So now we are going to create the logic to handle the focus. First we are going to create a new variable called focus, and it's going to be an actor is fine, because we'll only use its location. And we are going to create two new functions that we are then going to use in the animation blueprint. The first one will tell if we have focus or not. And we're just going to return if this new variable is valid. The second one is the get focus location. Oops. And this one is it will be used for the animation blueprint. We're going to see that a little bit later. But what it does is quite simple. It just returns the focus location, which is the location of the focus actor there. Oops. I need to change it to vector. So first we're going to branch and check if we have focus. Oh yeah, I forgot something. This one needs to be a pure function so that it can be called without the exact node. So if it's false, we're going to return 0. And if it's true, we are simply going to return the actor location of the focus. So we are done for these two functions. Now the last thing that we need to do for this head orientation character is to handle when something will overlap with the sphere. For that we can override the onBegin overlap of the sphere, and we're simply going to set the focus to the actor that has overlap. Here we do not need to check anything because the sphere only overlaps with focus object types. And as I said it before, the only thing that will be of focus object type will be something in the player character. So there is only one thing that will trigger this begin overlap. Now we're also going to override the end overlap, and there we're going to set the focus to null. So we are done with our head orientation character. Now we can go and create the animation blueprint. Yeah, actually we're not going to create it. We are going to go to the third person. No, it's in character there, and we are going to use the kin animation blueprint as a base. No, the mani one, this one, because the kin one is a child of the mani one. So we're going to use the mani one. Let's copy it there. And let's call it head orientation. So as you can see, there is already some things implemented. So we're going to keep that as it is, and we're going to create a new node to handle our focus. Something we need to change also is to change the type of the owning actor. There it's casted to a character, but we want it to be casted to head orientation character, because we will use the variable and the function that we have defined earlier. So let's change the type of the character, this one, and use the head orientation character. So because the head orientation character is a child of the character class, it will not break anything. We're just going to set that here. Let's go back a little bit. And that should be fine. So let's take the character reference, and first let's use the asFocused function so that we know if we have focus or not. Then depending on that, we're going to set the other variables. So we're going to use the get focus location. Oh yeah, same as the asFocus one. I'm already on the function. I need to set it to pure. There we go, much better. And we're going to create a new variable for that. Now we are going to create two new variables, which is going to be first the distance between the NPC and the focus. So this one is pretty simple. We just need to call the distant node, and we need to get the location of the character. And we can promote a new variable. And the second one will be the maximum distance to focus that we will get from the sphere component that we have defined earlier. And we're going to use the sphere radius, this one. And we're going to see how we are going to use those two variables. There we go. We have all the variable that we need. We just put a comment. And now we can go to the anim graph to add the head orientation. So we're going to add a new node there just after the control rig. To do those transform, the look at transform, we need to be in the component space. For that we can use a node called local to components, and we're going to do our manipulation there, and right after it we're going to do the reverse transform to go back to local space. So let's use the look at node. What this node will do is that it will rotate a bone toward a target, which can be either a location using this node there, or it can also be a target which is another bone. So in our case we're going to use the location, and it will be the focus location. The pin for the location is not exposed at starts. We just need to go here in the detail panel and go on the bind drop down and click on expose as pin. And there we go, we've got our new pin. Now we can take our focus location and put it right here. For the alpha we're just going to use the asFocus variable and transform it into a float. And that should be enough for now. So let's see what we've got with that already. But before that we just need to go to the mesh of the orientation character and assign our new animation blueprint. And it's this one. Oh yeah, of course I forgot to assign the bone. So in our case, if we look at the skeleton, so this one is for kin, but it's the same for money. We're going to use this one, the head bone, because as we rotate it, you can see that it works fine. So let's select this bone. There we go. We also need to go to the third person character, which is the player character, and we need to add the thing that will trigger the overlap with the sphere of the orientation character. So as I said before, it needs to be a focusable object, rather focus object type, I think I've called it. And I've already done that on this character. This one is the third person character, and as you can see I've added a box collision, a simple box collision. And as we go into the collision settings, we can see that it has the focus object types. It needs to have the query only or the collision enabled, but the query only is enough. And it ignores everything except the focus channel, so that it can trigger the overlap with the sphere component of the head orientation character, which is also a focus object type. So with that, we can delete this one, go back to here, take our orientation character NPC, let's put it right there, and let's see what we've got. So it seems to be working, but it's also seen that we have some slight problem when we go on the back, and also as we leave and as we enter the sphere components, you can see that it's the head turns toward the player quite fast. So there is some way to improve that, and we're going to see how we can do that. So first, to avoid the head turning backward, we can use the look at clamp so that we can define an angle to limit the head orientation. So let's say that we are going to limit it to 65 degree. I think it's in degree. Yeah. So this means that our head will only rotate at 65 degree at max from the base position. So this will already improve things when we go on the back. So yeah, as you can see, the head does not turn backwards. But there is another problem, because now the head is going down a little bit. We would like for it to be straight on the lookup axis. So there is another thing that we can do, which is to tick the use lookup axis. And now it's way better. The head remains straight, whatever the location of our player. So now the last problem is how the head turns when we enter and leave the sphere component of the NPC. What we would like to do is to have a smooth interpolation, as we've seen at the start of the video. And we're going to do that using the alpha pin over there. We're going to remove this as focus, and instead we're going to use a map range clamped, and we're going to use the distance to focus as the value. So this one will be between 0 and the max focus distance, because the max focus distance is the sphere radius. So at max it will be this value. So we're going to take this value, and this one is going to be the max of the in range. So we're going to go from let's say 400. So when the player will be at 400 distance to the NPC, the lookout will be at the maximum interpolation, and we're going to map that from 1 to 0, so that when we are at the max distance to focus, the alpha will be at 0, and as we go closer to 400, the alpha will go closer to 1 until maximum when we are at 400 or less. So we're going to test that and see how does it look like. So we're going to enter the sphere, and you see as we enter the sphere, the head slightly interpolates toward the player as we get closer, and the glitchy movement is gone, and still the head still does not rotate and turn back when we are at the back. So everything is working fine, and we're done. So that's it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, you can like, subscribe and share. On another note, I'm also going to start sharing some news about the game I'm currently developing. Here is what it looks like. I'm going to put the Steam page in the description below, so you can check it out if you want. I'm also going to start sharing some things on Twitter, and that's it for me. So see you another time. Bye.